Boom. Selling GPUs and holding cash was, I think that was a few months ago, bro. I think that was like December. Just saying. Hope everybody's doing good today. Now you just hold GPUs until the next bull run. HODL Silicon, bro. All right. Hello and welcome to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner. I go by Blind Run on the internet and Matthew in real life. Today we're going to be talking about the decrease of hash rate on the Ethereum network, which is coming in perfect timing for the Glacier update, which will reset the difficulty bomb, allowing those who are remaining in the game to earn a little bit of extra revenue before the inevitable merge that we aren't sure when is going to happen. We're also going to be talking about some new miner releases. We have Team Red Miner coming out. We have John McAfee. We're going to be talking a little bit about his situation because it is yesterday was the anniversary of his passing, so we have a little bit of a catch up on that. We're going to be talking about the RX 7000 series GPU. RDNA 3 GPUs are going to have higher power consumption than originally anticipated. Cardano founder and Charles Hoskinson, basically his congressional hearing, we'll get a wrap up on that. And we have Coinbase rolling out Polygon support, which is coming in perfect timing, of course, for, once again, that rollback of the Glacier update. So if you're looking for another easy way to liquidate outside of Crypto.com, Coinbase is going to be there, which means you can get Polygon direct payouts from pools that support that direct to an exchange. Obviously Coinbase in this case, but you have other options as well. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up, I think, for all of the news topics. We have a little bit of an update on Toncoin. We have a little bit of an update on Staked ETH, and we have a new minting going on right now from a Neta BTC. We'll talk a little bit about how that functions too. So lots of fun stuff. Let's get into it right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. And welcome back, everybody. So first things first, we always like to cover the miner releases, mining software releases, anything that's been coming out, keep you guys up to date with it. We have the new Team Red Miner version 10.2, ETH hash smooth power patch release fixing a few small issues in 10.1. Also, they've written a small overview describing what this feature is about, and it's available here on the smooth power overview. I will be giving 10.2 another try for the RR mode. I'm hoping that maybe these fixes along the lines of smooth power help me with some stability on rigs that we're having stability issues with, basically R mode, and hopefully we'll get some better performance out of it. GPU, they tweak Polaris ET hash tuning to work better with the new smooth power setup. They did a fix for Autolicos crashing on Polaris in 4GB GPUs, and they did a fix for ETH plus TON dual mining crashes with new smooth power setup. Now, yesterday, I believe we had a miner, I forget which one, remove support for Toncoin, and that is because the contracts are running out. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit too. Right now, it looks like there's about 3.4 days left for the final contract on Toncoin. 2 of the contracts, giver contracts, have already basically run out at this point. So if you were going to mine Toncoin and you just hadn't gotten around to it, sorry, it looks like it's pretty much done. There are rumors of basically another infinite giver contract that may be coming out. I do not have confirmation on that. Once we get that figured out, though, there will be a video on the channel and I'll get you guys up to date. So right now, that's where it sits at for Toncoin. And I thought that was a good segue, of course, for the fix that Team Red Miner 10.2 released. Now, we've been talking about the next generation of GPUs, and obviously from the perspective of mining, which ones are going to be good, which ones are not. We have a problem with, of course, the RTX 4000 series as it pertains to power, because they are increasing the power consumption pretty significantly. On top of that, they are moving to an ATX 3.0 standard and PCIe Gen 5 connectors, meaning your current power supply setup for your mining rigs is probably not going to be sufficient, and that is due to the power spikes that are going to be happening on the RTX 4000 series. The power spikes already, as reported by Gamers Nexus on the RTX 3000 series, are pretty significant. So it's safe to assume it's going to be even worse on the RTX 4000 series, especially since they are needing a completely brand new power supply standard to support this. And that means, from a mining infrastructure standpoint, upgrade to power supplies and an additional cost. Plus, to make the matters even worse from that point of view, we also have basically no real significant improvements in memory speed coming from the RTX 40 series. Essentially, what you're going to be seeing is the RTX 3090 Ti mining performance at the top end. So you're looking at that 125 to 135 megahash a second, depending on how well you can cool, of course, the cards, because they are going to be taking a lot more power, which means more heat, which means more of a chance of thermal throttling. It's pretty disappointing, to be frank, at least from my perspective. So I'm not really keen on the 40 series for mining. I think that it's not going to be that great. The reason for this, though, just to give you guys an idea, there's a shift in the GPU market and the focus on how they're handling workloads, and it primarily surrounds the cache. And this came about in the RX 6000 series from Radeon when they started putting in infinity cache, and they started loading in tons of cache onto, of course, the GPUs. What this allowed them to do is have basically lower performing memory like the GDDR6 and still compete on traditional rasterization tasks, etc., with Nvidia on their GDDR6X memory. Now, Nvidia is copying this on their latest generation 40 series and bumping up their L2 cache all the way up to like 96 megabytes. So that's kind of where the shift in the industry is going. As far as that pertains to mining, will there be algorithms or miners that are developed to leverage, the cache and improve mining performance? Maybe. I'm not really positive that will happen, though, anytime soon. So we were kind of looking at the RX 7000 series GPUs for the next gen releases for miners, because the power consumption looked good, and finally AMD was going to provide us with a 384-bit bus at the top end. On the 6000 series, the 6900 XT and the 6950 XT only provided us with a 256-bit bus, which really hampered its mining performance at the top end. This meant that essentially down below pretty much anything above a RX 6800 from a memory intensive algorithm perspective didn't see any improvements. You could buy a 6800, a 6800 XT, or the 6900 XT, and they all pretty much did around that 63 megahash a second. And that was due to the fact that the top end models did not have bigger memory buses. Now, we are getting that bigger memory bus, and it looked like we were going to stay on, a pretty decent power level. The rumors now are that we are going to have higher power consumption. To performance, I don't know yet. We'll kind of take a look at this article and see. I'm hoping that at least the rumors are true and remain true, that they're going to remain on a previous standard, because obviously with the infrastructure that we have in place, I would rather not be upgrading a bunch of power supplies or power supply components. So let's get into this. This is coming from WCCF Tech. In an interview with Tom's Hardware, AMD's Senior Vice President, Sam, has hinted that the next-gen RDNA 3 GPUs powering the RX 7000 series graphics cards will feature higher power consumption than existing solutions, while still delivering a 50% performance per watt gain. Now, keep in mind, this 50% performance per watt gain is going to be overall performance. That's not just going to be memory performance, right? That's going to be talking about their core performance and traditional workload performance. So let's continue though. Both AMD and Nvidia are expected to heavily focus on efficiency and GPU power designs for their next-gen GPUs to deliver higher performance. We have seen various leaks for Nvidia's GeForce RTX 40 series graphics cards, which are expected to rock up to 600 watt designs. Meanwhile, AMD is saying that while they announced a more than 50% performance watt uplift, which we reported on previously over the previous generation, that doesn't mean that power levels aren't going to go up for RDNA 3 RX 7000 series graphics cards. Quote, "It's really the fundamentals of physics that are driving this," he explained. "The demand for gaming and compute performance is, if anything, just accelerating, and at the same time, the underlying process technology is slowing down pretty dramatically, and the improvement rate. So the power levels are just going to keep going up. Now, we've got a multi-year roadmap of very significant efficiency improvements to offset that curve, but the trend is there. Performance is king," he stated, "but even if our designs are more power efficient, that doesn't mean you don't push power levels up if the competition is doing the same thing. It's just that they have to push them a lot higher than we will." And this is significant because when we're talking about GPU performance and the competition between the red team and the green team, we've seen this previously played out, right? And typically this is how it goes. If you have a company that is focused on power to performance at a given time versus a company that's basically focused on increasing the power rates primarily, the company that has started to move towards power to performance is usually the one that ends up on top for the next kind of what I would call GPU king cycle, right? You go back between ATI and Nvidia and green team and red team back and forth. Now, for AMD, they've been behind for quite some time. And a lot of that catch up came from the new influx of revenue, of course, from the Ryzen series. So what we're going to see play out here is probably something similar to Ryzen versus the Intel CPUs. And we can tell that already because with the RX 6000 series, we were seeing better performance per watt to, of course, the green team. There are a few features and things like that, quality of life features on Nvidia that do keep them ahead of the game, specifically pertaining around things like DLSS and, of course, ray tracing, where they are a little bit ahead. Their tensor cores for AI, that sort of stuff, right? But AMD in traditional rasterization has caught up, and they are definitely winning in the power to performance range for that specific task set. So I think we will see AMD kind of catch up here, and it also helps, of course, that they are in the new consoles when we're talking about other software-driven aspects of this. It would be a nice change of pace, in my humble opinion, because AMD has typically offered more tinkering and such with, of course, their GPUs. They are moving further and further away from that, where you could completely flash a BIOS on a 5000 series and adjust memory timings, etc. That's kind of been locked out on the 6000 series, and that's unfortunate, right? But at least you can still play with more power tool and the such to get tweaked in settings. You do have voltage control right off the bat without having to do any weird unlocking or anything. So from that perspective, I do appreciate Radeon more, and we've seen kind of Nvidia lock down and become a more closed system than anything else on the market, even including Intel at this point. So I would like the competition to show that a more open approach to these types of tasks and so on would be appreciated by the consumer. So that's kind of where I stand on the whole Nvidia, or basically GeForce versus Radeon aspect of things. If you remember a few months back, we had seen rumors that the RDNA 3 powered Radeon RX 7000 series offering TDPs of up to 400 watts. That's a 100 watt increase over the existing Navi 21 GPU that goes up to 335 watts. So if AMD is to achieve 2 times performance gain over its existing lineup, the TDP should end up close to 450 watts, which is the same as the one rumored for the GeForce RTX 4090 BF GPU. At the same time, the peak power and operational power may vary a lot, and Sam is pretty confident that when he says the competition will have to push the power higher, a lot higher, then they will. And that is kind of where we're at with basically the competition that's a brewing, right? Furthermore, next-gen graphics cards with over 400 to 450 watt total board power will have to utilize a brand new PCIe Gen 5 connector, considering the triple 8-pin connectors can only go as far as 450 watts. And no company has made a design choice for their reference cards, at least yet. So whether AMD is looking to go the triple 8-pin route or end up with the new Gen 5 connector will conform to the ATX 3.0 standard and deliver stable performance remains to be seen from the AMD camp. And that's kind of where things have gotten blown out of the water for the mining infrastructure perspective on the 7000 series. Because if the top end model, which is really the model we're curious about, right? Because it's lower power consumption, presumably about 150 watts less than the top model on the Nvidia side, but it does give us a bigger bandwidth, 384-bit, than the previous gen RX 6000 series. If the upgrades are required to ATX 3.0 standard on AMD, then it all becomes a moot point, because regardless of which one requires less power, your investment is going to have to go up regardless for upgrades on your power supply situation. Some key features of the RDNA 3 GPUs highlighted in AMD will include 5nm process node, an advanced chiplet packaging, re-architected compute unit, optimized graphics pipeline, next-gen AMD Infinity Cache, and plus greater than 50% performance per watt versus RDNA 2. The AMD RX 7000 series graphics cards based on the RDNA 3 GPU architecture are expected to launch later this year, so expect more information in the coming months. And as you can see, we kind of have all of this laid out. And like I was talking about, here it is. Here's that 384-bit bus. This one's really interesting, the Navi 3X. We don't know what this is, right? This has a weird release or question mark here of 384-bit by 2. I caught this and I was like, cool. Now, this is all rumor and speculation, but if we got two 384-bit buses, this would be a mining king. This would absolutely destroy everything, right? Like we're talking about without Infinity Cache, probably somewhere around 2 terabytes a second of, megabytes per second of bandwidth. But we're also talking about, a potential for just dual mining. A lot of crazy stuff could end up coming out of this. Now that's going to be the Radeon Pro series, probably going to be out of price points, but it would be really cool if we included Infinity Fabric in that, right? We're talking about 3.5 gigabits per second on the memory speed, total memory speed. If you take into account currently what we're speculating on the 384-bit bus being at 1.7 terabytes of effective speed with Infinity Cache. So that would be absolute insanity. And that was one thing I caught that I thought was really cool. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about Mr. McAfee, or McAfee. There we go. I always say McAfee. I don't know why. I even did it when I met him. It was really embarrassing, but let's just talk about it. So John McAfee's widow, golly, I'm off today. John McAfee's widow still seeking independent autopsy 1 year after his death. So yesterday was the anniversary of John McAfee's, or McAfee's, there we go. I can do it. His death. And it was surrounded with a lot of controversy, right? There's the whole idea of the dead man switch. He had, for those, the uninitiated, he had just a couple weeks before released a token called, Whacked, and said, just so everyone's aware, if they say I committed suicide, I did not. he wrote a letter to, of course, his widow, basically sounded up in good spirits. And then all of a sudden we have a suicide note not written in his handwriting to the best of everybody's knowledge. And then he passed away. So there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. Let's kind of get into that. The crypto evangelist was found dead in Spanish prison last year after years on the run from the U.S. authorities. John McAfee was found dead in a Spanish prison on June 23, 2021 from an apparent suicide. The McAfee family is fighting for the release of McAfee's body so an independent autopsy can be conducted. A year has passed since the body of tech entrepreneur and antivirus software developer John McAfee was found in his holding cell in a Spanish prison. To this day, as Reuters reports, McAfee's remains are still in a Spanish morgue where the initial autopsy was conducted. And this is suspicious too, because it's been over a year and his body was never released to the family. You know, the autopsy was clearly very, very tight and closed. A lot of people were not allowed access. And this is why people have questions surrounding this passing, right? McAfee's widow, Janice, has maintained that her husband's death was not the result of suicide, as initially reported, and has launched a Change.org petition campaign to pressure the Spanish government to release her husband's remains. Quote, 1 year ago today, John McAfee was stolen from us, a champion of freedom and privacy. The world is a much darker place without him, end quote. Janice McAfee tweeted today, marking the anniversary. An autopsy conducted by Spanish authorities determined that McAfee died by suicide, saying his body was found hanging in his cell and that he had previously attempted suicide while in custody. And this is questionable because, like I said, he had been very vocal on Twitter about the fact that if they tried to say it was suicide, it was not. And this is why things get really, really curious surrounding this case. McAfee's family considered the original autopsy to be incomplete and asked for further checks, which were denied by a local judge. McAfee's lawyer, Javier Villalbo, all right, look, I'm terrible at names, told Reuters. The family appealed the decision, and the judge then ruled that McAfee's body could not be handed to the family until the court resolved their appeal, according to the lawyer. McAfee launched the first commercial antivirus software bearing his name in 1987 and ran for president of the United States in 2016 to 2020, both times unsuccessfully seeking the Libertarian Party nomination. McAfee was found dead the same day in Spain's High Court authorized his extradition to the United States. Spanish police apprehended McAfee after the U.S. Justice Department issued an indictment. McAfee faced 30 years in prison on tax evasion charges stemming from an alleged ICO pump and dump scheme that authorities say made the crypto icon over $23 million, which I think McAfee antivirus probably made him more than that. What I'm thinking. But if you guys don't remember, back in the day, basically ICOs are the equivalent to what like NFTs and DeFi are right now, probably more close to like DeFi, right? So ICOs were to blame last time by the uninitiated as opposed to the halving cycle for the previous crash, right? So every time we get these like this halving cycle in the bear market, something gets targeted for blame, right? ICOs, which were initial coin offerings that were usually powered once again on Ethereum. So every time the blame is placed, it is placed on basically some new iteration that is happening on the Ethereum blockchain. You ended up with basically the exact same repeat process of like, all these things are terrible. And typically, right, there was some validity to these arguments. ICOs definitely had a lot of scams going on within them. Not all of them, but definitely some. So it's an important note because if you understand the similarities during these halving cycles and the regulation that starts pumping out, the types of things that start getting blamed for people losing money, and the fact that basically it still surrounds the exact same cycle, then you can be a lot more comfortable when you're navigating crypto, both in a bear market and a bull run, right? What I'm saying is like there will be another ICO and another CeFi scandal in like 2026. There will be. I don't know what it'll be, but there will be, right? Like that's going to be what it is. Now, the key would be, right, targeting that and finding out what that is going to be during the bull run cycle next time, right? All right. So it's difficult to put into words what life has been like this past year. Janice McAfee tweeted earlier this morning, "I still can't believe John is gone." She wrote, encouraging her followers to sign the change.org petition, which at the time of publication has 1,790 signatures with a global gathering of 100,000 signatures. There you go. If you want to check this out, check it out in the description below. I follow Janice, so I highly encourage people to go follow her. You can get caught up to date on all of it. From my perspective, I think that there is a mix of, it's very hard to determine what reality is and not in these types of situations. I think like when I talked about it with a few people, there is basically like a tweet that went out saying like, the US government is killing people over taxes. That is not necessarily what I believe, but it does pinpoint like a couple interesting factors that play into this, which is like clearly all of this strife that was put around it is based on basically taxes. And part of that is also to spread the FUD and bring regulation into cryptocurrency, because if you aren't aware, basically John was a big proponent of Monero, and that is a privacy coin. And the thing about Monero and regulation is that you can't really regulate Monero that well because basically it has obfuscated transactions on it. And this is why you don't see Monero on things like centralized regulated exchanges such as Crypto.com and Coinbase, etc. And that is still, though, a problem because those are, in my humble opinion, the things that stick as close to the original principles of cryptocurrency than anything else that's around. And I think they'll stick around for a long time, and I think they will be utilized. And once again, you don't have to be doing anything wrong to value your own individual sovereignty when it comes to your finances, to value privacy, and to value security. That does come with responsibility, as I always state, but that doesn't mean that you should just give away all of your rights and security and privacy to some governing entity, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. They have the ability to make some mistakes just like you and I do. And that is the important factor that a lot of people miss. And it's one that actually has frustrated me with Vitalik Buterin, who had recently talked about how he thinks that, by and large, the people don't know what they're doing and they need somebody to tell them what to do. That's the best way I can put it. But he sides with essentially nation states. And that was a recent tweet that really kind of put me off as far as all that goes. Speaking of regulation, etc., Cardano founder steals the show at congressional hearing on crypto regulation. In front of a congressional hearing, Hoskinson spoke cogently and appeared relaxed in making a case for more equitable regulatory treatment for cryptocurrency industry. At a U.S. Congressional Committee hearing on June 23rd, Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson gave his take on the future of crypto regulation. The purpose of the hearing was to discuss the effectiveness of current regulations with a view to implementing a future framework. A lack of regulatory clarity is a sore point for the industry. Recent times have seen this play out in numerous examples of heavy-handed enforcement action at the hands of U.S. regulators. However, representing the industry, Hoskinson put forward the position of developers, explaining how a public-private partnership would be the best interest for all concerned. I want to say thanks to Twisted Blockchain for the $10 super sticker, boosting that algo for us. The U.S. House of Representatives Committee on Agriculture, Subcommittee on Commodity Exchanges, Energy, and Credit hearing focused on closing the gap in regulatory oversight of the digital asset market. In his capacity as an expert witness, Hoskinson made the point that, quote, innovation makes specifics difficult regarding regulation. Therefore, regulations should focus on principles rather than formulating particular rules for individual events. The Cardano founder gave deciding on which risks to safeguard against, what rights users should have, and how to use tools for the greatest possible good as an example of principles. On the matter of regulating cryptocurrencies as commodities or securities, Hoskinson said that the issue is more complex than resolving a binary argument. Quote, when you look at cryptocurrencies in general, I have always viewed them as financial stem cells. They're more fundamental than a particular category like a currency or a commodity. To that end, what trumps a binary argument is a holistic approach that takes into account public policy considerations based on what regulators want to achieve, such as sanctions, compliance, consumer protection, and/or market stability. He said, so quote, so I don't think it would be wise to say it is a security or a commodity, or fall into this temptation of who's the more permissive regulator or what is the regulatory arbitrage. Rather, just take a step back and say, what things do we want to guard against? End quote. Social media feedback on Hoskinson's performance at the hearing was overwhelmingly positive. One Twitter comment said that Cardano founder enlightened the committee with pure class. Another congratulated him on a great job in representing the whole crypto industry really well. The case has been stated. It now falls to the committee to take this forward for a more equitable and holistic approach to crypto regulation. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about crypto regulation because I think there is this misconception, and I think that a lot of people need to understand the fact that like crypto is moving extremely fast and not dissimilar from just all of the improvements that we've seen over the digital age, right? And this digital transformation that I refer to that we're going through. And kind of one of the final pieces to this digital transformation is going to be some sort of way to run the digital economy, right? As we move into it, that is a fact of the matter. And we have a couple different ways that we're going to go about it, right? We're either going to go the CBDC route and the federal government, the nation states will control everything, or we'll go the Bitcoin route and the power will be given back to the people and you'll have much smaller forms of self-governance in little pockets, right? And it doesn't have to be within a border, right? Like it doesn't have to be the state of Texas being independent and having their own cryptocurrency. That's not necessarily how this plays out. It's digital, so it's cross-border, right? This can play out a lot differently than people really expect. And I highly recommend listening to the Sovereign Individual via audiobook if you have time to do that while you work out or whatever. If you want to read it, of course, definitely I encourage that as well. Highlight it, mark it up, find out and pick out what's going on, because that book was released in the 90s and has become eerily similar to what has been going on, right? As it pertains to everything that's happened throughout this kind of digital transformation in the digital age that we're going to be living in. But one of the things that it points out that is extremely pertinent when we're talking about regulation is how fast things move. Because we are talking about the digital age, we're talking about a time in which we can communicate a lot quicker with a lot more people across the world. And that has been one thing that everybody's had to get used to, right? Before you had to send a letter in a mail and then it took a long time to get there. This is why government has representatives, right? Like at least in the United States, because you couldn't just have like a full-blown democracy in that case, because you had to travel to make the rules to a far off location, and that took time. And even if you wanted to send a letter, somebody else had to take that letter to a far location to your Congress members or whatever it may be. So you needed representatives to represent the people in those cases. And that is one thing where part of how the digital transformation is changing this. Now, you know, we have representatives on Twitter getting inundated by people all day long with messages and tweets and so on. And there's just a plethora of information. Everybody has access to knowledge as well at a greatly accelerated rate. So everything is accelerating very quickly. And crypto is one of those things that's going to accelerate extremely quickly, to the point to where I do not think that traditional regulation is going to be sufficient to actually play a part within cryptocurrency. Meaning, because we've gone from things like ICOs to DeFi to NFTs in basically a few years, in the matter of just like a few years, right? We have all of this digital asset stuff going on. And the government just is too slow to keep up with it. And they can do blanket statements, right? In the case of China, just banning cryptocurrency mining. But did that work? No, clearly it did not work, because 20+% of the Bitcoin mining hash rate is still online in China. So a blanket ban isn't going to function. It's not. I'm sorry, it's just not going to function. Trying to get through in individual regulations on something like DeFi when all the users control their own keys is near impossible. And so the idea that Hoskinson brings up here is something that I actually would agree with to a certain extent. I still think it's a little hard for them to actually go through and get all of this done even, but a principled standpoint from the government would be the best point of attack from their perspective if they want to have control over it and regulate it properly, right? I think the term was, let me get this again real quick, a more equitable and holistic approach, right? A principled approach. So kudos. I haven't ever been a fan of Cardano or necessarily even like Charles Hoskinson. I'm not a fan of proof of stake. I think that it has its problems. Even if you have, a revolutionary idea surrounding it like Ouroboros or whatever, I'm a mining guy. That's where I sit. I think that you have to have some sort of real world tie to value of whatever currency it is. But he has been a very vocal and pretty accurate proponent of cryptocurrency as a good public face. He is also pretty humble. If you follow him on Twitter or anywhere else, he is very willing to go out and promote, not promote in like a scummy way, but if he sees good ideas that aren't part of his project, for example, like Ergo, which obviously he has a tie to the developer there, so maybe not the greatest example, but there are other examples where he goes out and he will be like, this is a good idea, this is why it's a good idea. And he usually has pretty good reasoning behind it. So I think that it's a good face to have, and kudos to that. I still think a lot of cryptocurrency, to that point, I just wanted to follow this up because people are always like, well, what's the next Bitcoin, right? And I do want to bring up the fact that basically nothing can be the next Bitcoin based on one single factor, and that is all other cryptocurrencies have a singular problem, which is a people problem. And by a people problem, I mean they have people in charge of them running them, right? Bitcoin does not have that really. What they have is a consensus that has to go through the miners to approve changes to the blockchain. And there's no overarching like developer that's sat up that's basically has an economical advantage to everybody else within the blockchain. And that is kind of where I see the point of the Bitcoin maximalist at the very least, right? All right. So mining reset June 29th on Ethereum. We are going to have the difficulty bomb reset. We're going to have more profitability. Okay. Good news is that Coinbase is rolling out Polygon support for transfers of ETH. Now, the reason this is good is because you have L2 payouts from Ethermine and other mining pools. And if you are looking for the quickest way to liquidate into a centralized exchange into US dollar, this would be important, right? Coinbase rolls out Polygon support for transfers of ETH and USDC. Coinbase users will be able to send supported crypto assets on the Polygon sidechain network. The company says the new feature simplifies bridging process often required when sending tokens across different networks. Coinbase customers over the next month will be able to send and receive crypto on Polygon. According to Thursday's announcements, eligible customers will be able to send and receive Ether, Polygon, Matic, and USDC on Polygon. Polygon becomes the first scaling network of its kind supported by the US exchange giant for transferring those crypto assets. USDC transfers will also be available on Solana per the announcement. Coinbase rolled out support for Solana as reported by The Block on Wednesday. The move marks the start of the company's multi-chain approach to crypto transactions for customers, albeit I would say a little bit late because Cryptocom has been doing it for a long time, with Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, etc. So I'd say they're a little behind, but Coinbase says it's reducing the time, effort, and high fees associated with transferring via the Ethereum network. Obviously, that's a big problem. Coinbase also stated in the announcement that its multi-chain approach will simplify the process of sending crypto across different networks. Moving one token from its native blockchain to another network usually requires bridging. This process involves using a bridge protocol to make the transfer and cost fees and can take hours or days to complete. Not really, usually minutes to hours, maybe hours. I've never had a bridge process take hours personally, but maybe there's some crappy bridge out there for some crappy side chain or whatever that I'm not aware of. You guys let me know, but look, bridging from Polygon's never taken hours. Bridging from Binance Smart Chain's never taken hours. But this is already available on Crypto.com too. I want to point that out. Like if you have Ethereum on Crypto.com and you're hitting the withdraw button, you can select which network you want to withdraw to. So if you're going to send it to, your MetaMask with your connected to your Binance Smart Chain, you hit the BSC network, you hit the Ether, you export it, and then it already has it wrapped. You don't have to bridge, right? I mean, it is bridging it, right? Crypto.com's bridging it for you, but you don't have to, right? So these are things that are already being done from the centralized exchange giants. And I just think that like Crypto.com is way ahead of the game here, right? Coinbase is playing catch up. By going multi-chain, Coinbase says both retail and institutional clients do not have to go through the process. They can instead have all their assets unified in one balance, even if the tokens are spread across different blockchains. The exchange also plans to offer support for other assets and networks in the future. Also, I wanted to point out that Coinbase also recently released a statement that they will be requiring you to basically provide the information of who you are withdrawing your funds to. That's a little concerning. So if you wanted to pay someone natively on like the native Bitcoin blockchain and you're paying them out from your Coinbase wallet, they're going to request things like the receiver's address, name, etc. I think you just always say it's you. Look, it's getting creepy out there. It is what it is, right? All right. So Ethereum, like we were talking about though, wow, we are down to 869 terahash, boys. And this is, fantastic news for us coming up on this, reduction or the reset of the difficulty bomb with the Glacier upgrade coming here soon. So if you guys recall, the top was 1.15 petahash a second. I think this was quite some time ago, actually, probably not even this month. Oh, there we go. So 1.13 petahash a second on June 3rd, I think is the highest here. 1.15, I think was the all-time high. And it's dropped significantly, right? We're all the way down to 869 terahash. And this is because, like we've been seeing, a lot of people are liquidating their GPUs because it's not profitable. Why is it not profitable is the question you should be asking yourself here. And the reason it's not profitable right now, or less profitable than it could be, is like obviously multifaceted. One being the price of Ethereum taking a price dive. Right now, though, it's back up and not terribly low. It's at $1,211. And then that is compounded by something that is called a difficulty bomb, which is an artificial increase of the difficulty on the network put in by the devs to stop any miners from forking the network when they move to proof of stake. So what we are about to see is a reversal of that on the 29th of June, meaning that we are going to have a compounding factor of reduced hash rate on the network and a reset of the difficulty bomb, meaning difficulty will drop significantly. So prepare yourselves on June 29th to get swapped back over to ETH if you're mining something different like myself, like Ergo for now, because we should see profitability pretty much skyrocket around then. The question would be, are these miners that have been shutting off going to be turning their rigs back on? Well, a lot of this dip appears to be coming from China. And as we see, most of these rigs have been taking their cards off their GPUs their cards off their mining rigs and selling those GPUs outright, right? At dirt cheap prices. This means that if you stuck around right now and you're still sitting on GPUs, you have an opportunity for the next couple months, at least through September, to go ahead and make some extra revenue. So there is a positive going on there. And I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that this switch will be happening. So if you want to make a little bit of extra, you can make a little bit of extra. All right. So Lido staked Ethereum is still, because we were trying to track this, right? So let's go ahead and get CoinMarketCap, or we don't even need to do that, right? So it's still depegged. Ethereum's at 1211.49, and Lido staked Ethereum is at 1162, so at 9.2 or 9.12% up. So it is still depegged, unfortunately. I remember that we wanted to keep track of that. Let's get into mining profitability right after a word from our sponsor, the last sponsor ad run, and then we'll have Q&A after mining profitability. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus, or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Alrighty, welcome back. So as you guys know, I've been mining Neta on the Ergo blockchain, and there's a guide on the channel if you want to learn how to do it. I'm getting the extra 22% rewards. I am down a couple miners. We got a couple octo miners in. I'm going to be replacing, and we'll be talking about that obviously on the channel. So we are actually only at 11 gigahash, usually sitting around 12 gigahash, and we have done 8,177 Neta. If we went to the Ergo Dex to get our balance for the past 24 hours, it is down. We're only at 47.87 for the day. Now that may change, of course, and I'll keep you guys updated, and we'll check it again tomorrow. But, you know, unfortunately, this is, it did not pay out great for the past 24 hours, and hopefully we see some changes, or see some extra Neta get solved in these blocks. Sometimes it can be a little bit behind. If we look at the amount of blocks that were found yesterday, they're down to 26 blocks. So we had a few pretty good days, you know, over $100 on a couple, because it was also catching up from the weekend. And that was because over the weekend, a lot of blocks were found, but the pool was not paying out the blocks because of a problem with their API. So we also had catch up. If we could get back up to finding, you know, those 42 to 50 blocks, I think that we could get back up to, you know, our projected of a, you know, over $100 a day. So that's kind of where it's at as far as that is concerned. I'm also adding liquidity to be completely transparent. So we have liquidity between Erg and Neta. I think only a couple $100 on each side, so maybe like $500 total as far as that goes. Speaking of Neta, I did want to bring up this. They announced the remaining 97 Neta Angels on the Ergo will be available this Friday starting at 1 p.m. UTC, which is 9 a.m. Eastern. So that was at 8 a.m. Central Time earlier today. Whitelisted addressers are ones that have added liquidity. If they have some left over, you'll be able to purchase them later in the day around 2 p.m. Eastern, which will be 1 p.m. I'm going to try to get mine. So we were going to mint one angel for fun. It's a little of a bit of a weird process. So we're actually going to do this live. And then what I'm going to do, because so I want to play with it. 1, 2, I never condone purchasing or minting NFTs because I have no idea. 3, this is not financial advice. 4, if I go through this process and it doesn't work and I don't receive my NFT, I'll be able to let you guys know tomorrow, or I'll probably do a tweet before the public version goes live. So that's kind of the idea. Here's the process they say that it is, that you need to do. And this is different than minting on most platforms. So like I said, a little weird. You take this address right here and you send 22 ERG. It's also extremely expensive, right? Because if we look at the price on that, let's just do 22 ERG. That's $44 for the mint. So it's pretty expensive for the mint. And I have very little confidence that that's going to necessarily hold its value, right? So I want to be extremely clear, to be extremely cautious surrounding this minting. Probably wouldn't do it, other than obviously I want to do it for this particular reason. Or yeah, so there you go. So I'm going to get it going in my Nautilus wallet up here. Let's see. So it says send to this address. And for some reason, it's not copying this out. My clipboard's not working, so let's do it this way. Send to this address. And it says send exactly 22 ERG, right? And then the fee should be added on, right? Yeah, okay. So the fee, make sure the fee is added on there. Because you want to make sure that if you do this, it's sending exactly 22 ERG. Incorrect payment amounts will not receive an angel and will be refunded their payment minus the transaction fees. So there you go. All right, so I have a success. We've sent 22 ERG, and we'll see if we minted our Neta BTC. If I get it back within a reasonable time before the public mint goes live, as soon as I do, I'll let you guys know. And it's a Cardano and Ergo based NFT project, and it's focused on providing utility while paying homage to the various peoples, cultures, and passions that make up the Neta BTC community. There's going to be 97 of them right now. We'll just see how it goes. Anyways, seemed fun to do. Once again, not financial advice. It also looks like making 44 bucks off of one of those NFTs is probably very, very low. But I also want to support Neta. So I like the team over there. That's me personally. So I am fine with taking that L. Let's talk about what to mine and profitability on the RTX 3090. All right. So we have the corrected hash rates in here. We're at 27 cents a kilowatt hour. Let's go back to our standard 10 cents a kilowatt hour and calculate this bad boy out. Cero, is it $1.89 a day revenue and $1.10 a day after power? Ethereum, is it $1.81 a day in revenue and $1.05 a day after power? Ravencoin, $1.79 a day in revenue and $1 a day after power. Conflux, $1.66 a day in revenue and 87 cents a day after power. Xano, $1.63 a day in revenue and 84 cents a day after power. Ethereum Classic, $1.46 a day in revenue and 69 cents a day after power. Clearly the winner here, by the way, is Ethereum Classic today. Flux at $1.33 a day in revenue and 64 cents a day after power. But if you are doing it through NiceHash, it's $1.53 a day in revenue and 83 cents a day after power. And it kind of just falls down from there. Ergo's way down here, $1.18 a day in revenue and 55 cents a day after power. And I believe Fero's dropped to $1.32 a day in revenue and 57 cents a day after power. Mining pool statistics. Let's see if there's been any big hash rate changes other than Ethereum. We're down to 220 exahash a second on Bitcoin. A little bit of a tick up from yesterday, actually. So there's that. Let's take a look at ETC, Ethereum Classic. We already checked Ethereum today. 24 terahash a second on Ethereum Classic. No real change. Let's take a look at Flux. We're expecting 1.3 mega solutions. Yep, right on point. Still sticking around 1.3 mega solutions a second. Ergo, let's go ahead and take a look at Ergo. And it is a little down, 1 terahash down to 13.77 terahash a second. And difficulty is coming back down as well on that network. If we look at Ravencoin for, I forget what it was at yesterday. It's at 2.99 terahash a second. It's had an increase in hash rate, obviously due to its close profitability compared to Ethereum right now. So there you go. Let's take a look at mining pool profitability on Ethereum. The last 90 days, Ethermine in first, Crazy Pool in second, F2 Pool in third. For the last 60 days, Ethermine in first, Crazy Pool in second, F2 Pool in third. For the last 30 days, ZET in first, Ethermine in second, Crazy Pool in third. For the last 21 days, ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second. and Ether mine in third. For the last 14 days, ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Ether mine in third. For the last 7 days, ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Ether mine in third. For the last 3 days, ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, Mining Pool Hub in third. And for the last day, ZET in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, and Crux Pool in third. We covered the TON mining contract. It technically has 3 days left on one contract. It's not paying out from all the contracts, and I'm not sure exactly where it sits as far as future mining, but they have been talking a bit about it. We'll update, of course, when we get to that point. ASIC miner profitability, though. Antminer L7, 22.42 a day. KD6, still losing out to the L7 at 21.92 a day, the KD5 at 13.92 a day. And then taking a look at the S19 Pro, it's at 4.11 a day, which is up about $1. Keep in mind that you do have the new firmware from Hive OS that takes it from 110 terahash a second to 138, 140 terahash a second, and reduces the power consumption below 3,000 watts, making that profitability quite a bit better, more like $2 or so over what it currently is saying. So keep that in mind. Questions and answers time. Remember, super chats are never required. Always appreciate first to be answered because they're the easiest to read. Super stickers allow for the best algo help. So if you want to help the channel out in that way, super sticker helps. And then if you tag at Son of a Tech, I'll be able to read the message because it turns it orange. Please do it at the beginning of the message. If you do not tag at Son of a Tech, I will probably not catch it at all. And so we already thanked Twisted Blockchain for the $10 super chat. So there you go. And the Bry says at Son of a Tech, Glacier Defuse will be next week and Sepolia Merge will be on July 6th. There you go. 3 Mil says at Son of a Tech, what's up? What's up, dude? Forever Metalhead. Nice. Said, at Son of a Tech, sorry, came late. Did you talk about the Solana mobile phone at all? No, we did not talk about the Solana mobile phone. I'll have to look that up. Detroit Iris says, at Son of a Tech, Coinbase withdrawals. If you always say it's you're liable for the tax burden. Yep. I mean, the problem is going to be that you'll have to do the tax burden when it comes out to you, and then obviously further out from there. Coinbase is probably the option that we're going to want to steer away from more and more, but you know, these regulations are probably coming to everything, right? Unfortunately. Jake West says, ask Simon Tech, what percentage of ETH hash rate do you think is ASICs now after the drop in hash rate? Probably a lot closer to 100% than it was, right? Because the hash rate drop off is clearly GPU miners at this point. Trading Nichols says, Ask Simon Tech, is the ETH bomb canceled or just pushed back? The ETH bomb is going to be reset on the 29th. So it's pushed back, was it 700,000 blocks, 100 days, or sometime in mid-September. Carson says, no politics, Ask Simon Tech. Let's chat about activist conservative justices. Only Fed talk, political talk. I don't know, bro. Anonymous Miner says, Ask Simon Tech, I just saw that the GTX 1070 are doing 30 mega hash a second on Ethereum Classic. I'm currently at 32.32 at 135 watts. Do you know how it spiked in hash rate since it used to be 26 to 27 mega hash a second before? No, I do not. Thanks for giving me the update, though. We have a super chat sticker from Hugo Down for the $5 super chat. Thanks for boosting the algorithm. And Derek Castillo with the $5 super chat says, I know you preach not your keys, not your crypto. I currently use Zelcore, but I don't think it has keys. No, it has ways to back up. Definitely check out my guides. I believe it is. Hold on. I don't even know if I can do this from here. Let me see. Bop. We'll make sure that, hold on. Oh no, sound off. Son of a biscuit. We did it again. All right, let's go over the guide again then. I apologize. So we were going through Zelcore. I'm going to show you guys real quick. I muted it. I'm going to mute it again, and then I'm going to remember to unmute, okay? I'm going to mute. Okay, so we're unmuted again. We're going to go to desktop. We're going to pull up the Zelcore app. All right, I'm unmuted. Here it is. So we had a question on, you know, not your keys, not your crypto. Zelcore doesn't have keys. Yes, it does have keys. Let me show you where they're at. Right here, we go into settings. You hit the private keys button and you can click show private key. Now, what I did when I pointed this, I said, I'm not going to click show private key because I know you're trying to steal my crypto. But that is the quick guide on how to do it. I guess at the end of the day, when you try to do a quick guide with, you know, personal information that you don't want to be heard on the keyboard because you're worried about hackers, etc., probably going to get hacked anyways on that wallet. So it is what it is. Now, the next question is, Colton says, Ask Tech, why is mining straight to an exchange wallet not the best way to liquidate if selling daily? I never said that, so I don't know where you get that question. You would probably want to mine directly to an exchange wallet. Now, early days, there were issues with exchange wallets receiving coins that you had mined, and that is because the amount of times you were sending transactions to the exchange, and sometimes they would get lost. So a lot of people didn't want to mine directly to exchanges, and it was advised not to because in the early days, once again, this was a problem. It's not as much of a problem anymore, so it's not as big of a deal. And but those are the reasons, right? Black Cat Crypto says, will you be mining ETH and ZIL after Gray Glacier? And probably yes, because we are working on a giveaway with Solus NFT, which is on the Zilliqa network. Now, I want some extra ZIL, obviously, to participate and do how-tos in that, all right? I want to say thanks for the Super Chat stickers from Panzer and the Super Chat sticker from Ted Park. Forever Metalhead, nice name, says, I will post on local some data for Solana Mobile. Doubt you'll be able to call 911. Probably it will be off anyways. Interesting. Okay. Thanks everybody for the... Oh, and then we had the Ant Miner for L3 Plus question for $600. No, I wouldn't purchase it for $600. I would assume at this point that we will see similar bear market prices on the L3 Pluses, if not even less, thanks to the release of the L7. So sub 200 is really what you're going to be looking at during a bear market on an L3 Plus. It's possible that it goes down even lower. All right. Matt Wall says, at Tech, did you talk about Coinbase Pro shutting down and merging into Coinbase? No, I did not, because I still don't really fully understand exactly what that means for all of us, right? Chadwick says, Ask Tech, have you tried to restore a Zelcore wallet? Yeah, this one's a restored one. Unix Shady. Here we go. Says, I don't know why people bust your a peanut when you talk about politics. I personally like that because crypto was created stranding politics and how they F us over. Keep it up, dude. Thanks, sir. Chun Hang Pang. There we go. We can get it. Chun. I don't know. I don't botch it. It says, that's Tech. Which will be a better option in your opinion? A brand new 1660 Super for $250 or a used RTX 3070 for $440. I thought you were able to pick up some used 3070s for like $300. I still think we have a little bit of time before we really see these huge liquidations. Probably after the merge. We have about 10 minutes for questions and answers, so if you have any more, just let me know and we'll keep rolling. Sorry for the mute earlier. That's just kind of what happens when you're trying to do something on the fly, but hopefully you guys have the information on how to get your private keys out now from Zelcore. Chadwick says, Ask Amatech, just checking. Do you have a guide on how to restore? Debating on using Zelcore for your Bitcoin store until I move onto the hardware wallet. No, I don't have a guide on how to restore. I could work on that though. It's a pretty easy one. As far as that goes, it was a really easy restore. It's easier than like a Ravencoin restore where you're messing with the .dat files. And Chad, you're smart. I bet you could figure it out real quick. Paul says, that's Amatech. What is the best dual mine now after TON? ETH and Alphium? Probably, yeah, at this point. I think there were talks of ETH with a couple other ones. Forget what they were. There was a new one. There was a new coin, Caspa. There's supposed to be a dual mining with Caspa coming out, and I've been waiting on that. Hopefully it's not out yet. I don't think it is, but that one will be probably pretty interesting too. Dronin, sorry, says, Ask Amatech, making mistakes just so as us you're human. I am very human. I make mistakes every day. My goal is just to acknowledge my mistakes if I can. Sometimes the ego gets in the way, right? It's a bummer. Chadwick says, Ask Amatech, well, it will help others too. True. Yep, for sure. Detroit Irish says, Ask Amatech, did you have to pay duties and shipping on your new Octos? No, and that will be, we'll talk about that when we start implementing them into the farm. Nicholas says, Ask Amatech, someone already answered this in chat, but I would like to hear you answer it. Can you mine on a 3060 through a 1 buy riser if the motherboard supports sub 8 on that slot? I believe the answer is yes, but I'm a little confused on the actual technical plugins you're talking about. Like the one slot is still probably going to be like up to 4x, and then you would change within the BIOS the setting, right? Digital Fortress Mining says, Ask Son of a Tech, I've been having a lot of trouble getting my daily driver PC to mine. I got a Windows update a while ago and it hasn't worked since. Crashes on every single batch file except for Flux. Have you tried installing Windows or Linux? Any idea how to disable iGPU and LOL miner? Do it in your BIOS, and please remember to tag at Son of a Tech. Oh, I always start sweating hardcore in this room. Srinvas says, at Tech, any fixes or for can't get temp fan speed GPU error code 15 on T-Rex miner on Hive OS? You could first of all try switching the miner and making sure it is not an OS issue or a hardware issue. Then if it's a T-Rex issue, you're probably going to want to downgrade the T-Rex miner by selecting an older version, and then selecting the newer version again and getting a fresh install of T-Rex miner. Most of the time with that error code 15 though, I would presume that you have a driver issue within the OS. Grant says, Ask Tech, any more GPU maintenance or farm tour videos coming out? Yeah, because we are going to be upgrading the infrastructure to all Octo miners. So that's coming. We got 2 Octo miners shipped that got here yesterday, and we have another 8 Octo miners on the way. Gaming session with said says, Ask Tech, I keep getting GPU driver error Hive, mix of 2060 and 2070 and 3060. Start trying to test individual cards and seeing if that gets rid of the issue. It could be also like split off your 2060s or your 2000 series from your 3000 series to make it a little bit easier to troubleshoot. Anonymous Miner says, Ask Tech, should I hodl my Polaris cards till the next or sell? Should I upgrade them to 5000 series? I've already maxed out my power for my room. So if you're maxing out your power, then obviously what you want to do is go ahead and get more dense. You want to have more hash power per watt. That being said, selling Polaris GPUs right now is going to be extremely difficult. Unfortunately, that's really a bull run time to sell. And I don't know that the Polaris GPUs are going to survive through the next bull run though either. It's really up in the air because they are getting really, really old at this point. And you can just buy cards that are new, that are priced pretty good, that do better hash to power, you know. Lewis says, ask Hematech, you think it's a good idea to trade ETH for Bitcoin? I'm more of a Bitcoin maximalist, so it's not financial advice. And just what I am doing is trading ETH for Bitcoin when I do mine ETH. That being said, I am pretty heavy into Ergo and holding over there and adding liquidity right now. Real Rego says, ask Hematech on Windows, can you adapt voltage on Nvidia cards? Yes, you can with MSI Afterburner. Gaming session with said, thanks for the $4.99 super sticker boosting that algo, good sir. Colton says, at Son of a Tech, glad to see you finally joining the Octo gang. Yes, sir. Queen of Random says, at Son of a Tech, even with the 20% boost to Neta, isn't it still less profit than ETH, as ETH is a much higher than ERG profit for the 3070, for example? It really depends on like what you're looking at, right? Because you got to also look at power. And then you got to look at the fluctuations in the market. What I have found, though, is that I was making quite a bit more mining Ergo with Neta. So, and we're talking about anywhere, on average, about $25 a day more US when converted. Ted Park says, at Symantec, what operating systems do the Octo miners support? They come pre-installed with HiveOS. You could install anything else on them. Their integration into HiveOS is pretty good, though, because you're going to get like the fan notifications and all of that included. Yvonne says, ask Hematech, what does Vertcoin need to do to move ahead? If it's worth it, of course it's worth it. So for Vertcoin to move ahead, like I've always said, is they really, because they are targeting gamers with their one-click app, I think the most advantageous thing that they could do, period, end of story, would be getting an integration with some sort of sale, like video game sales company, right? Like a digital sales platform. Like Steam, but Steam probably wouldn't be the one they could get a partnership with. Probably something along the lines of GOG, right? Something where you could basically mine while you game, because that's really where they have their niche, right? They don't have a huge performance hit when you're mining Vertcoin on your game, and it's basically programmed to basically adjust the load essentially while you're gaming. So if they had a storefront that essentially you could also just go ahead and directly buy games with Vertcoin in it, that would be what would push it ahead. Camo says $2 super chat sticker. Thank you, good sir, for boosting that algo. Matt Plumey says, that's not a tech. Did I miss it? Are you not a fan of NiceHash? My buddy got me into mining and had me sign up using that. No, I generally don't like NiceHash for a plethora of reasons. One being, of course, their hack, where essentially it seemed like an inside job. Now, a lot of those people that were running NiceHash are not there anymore, so there's that. But on a more principled note, you also have hash rate distribution issues. Pretty much all the network attacks that happen on coins, especially newer coins that are starting, are powered through NiceHash, and that's because you have a centralized platform for all of the hash rate, which is not good for the networks. Dronin says, ask Tech, are the Octo miners beneficial or more of a luxury? So temp-wise, they're beneficial, yes. Nicholas Bailey says, ask Tech, I have 10 3060s. Are they worth holding? That's going to be up to you. I don't think that selling GPUs right now is the time to sell GPUs, but I understand that, unfortunately, you're going to be in a position where, honestly, you're going to have to hold those till, for a couple years. That's just that's where we're at, right? I mean, I'm not selling any of my GPUs. It would be a silly idea to sell them right now at such a low price. Oh, Dave Jack says, S7 Tech, when are you coming north of the wall for a visit? Probably never. Probably going to get locked down again, aren't we? Srinvas says, Ask Tech BBT said he runs his cards at 75 or under at 30% fan speed. I'm running 83070s at 77 to at 73 at 50% fan speed. Thoughts on temp versus fan speed in the sweet spot? BBT runs the Polaris cards at that. If you talk to him about the 3000 series, he runs them at higher, I think up to 80%, because unfortunately they just get really hot. Anonymous Miner says, Ask Tech, I haven't been getting any extra Ergo in my trades on Ergo decks. Is that normal? You don't get it when you trade. You get it when it pays out. I think if you're referring to the Neta payout. Syafian says, Ask Tech, what is your advice for a single GPU miner on a current mining situation? Just mine and hold it until the next bull run. Stack it. If you only have one, like, it's not a big deal. You're not going to be spending a lot in power costs. 3 Mil says, Ask Tech, I have a 3090 water cooled in my gaming rig. I mine and play League of Legends at the same time, and it's been working fine. Now it's been crashing for a few times. You think the GDDR6X is degrading? You could check your thermal pads. It could just be a heat issue. Ted Park says, Ask Tech, thanks for the answer. I doubt I'll be buying any of them soon, though. Camo says, Ask Tech, thank you for constantly delivering the goods. Yes, sir. Thanks for continuing to watch. And then the last question, Gabe says, Ask Tech, do you think that off-brand server chassis are worthwhile if Octo seems cost prohibitive? So one thing you're going to get with Octo Miner is support. They're really good with support. They're the only really option that is going to provide that support. And off-brand's not going to give you that support. For the most part. And so that's really what you're paying for, right? At the end of the day, you're going to have better support, especially US side now with, of course, Chile being here as the representative for the US side of things. And that's really where you get the benefit. That being said, the off brands are hit or miss. I have a couple off brands that are great. I have, a couple that are terrible, that just have weird issues. I can't get support for them, and they just don't function. They just sit there turned off most of the time. So that's pretty much where it's at. Thanks everybody for watching. We broke 500 concurrent viewers today. That's a record for the week, so I appreciate that. I'd love to see us get over 1,000 one day, but we'll see if we get there. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and notification bell down below so you're notified when we go live. We are trying to do a dedicated video as well as a live stream every Monday through Friday. We have clips the rest of the time, and check out the Blind Run channel for a more political perspective on basically everything that's going on within crypto. So if you want to hear more political side of things, that is kind of where that is being pushed, at least for my content right now. Everything over here will kind of remain the same, primarily how-tos, news surrounding just crypto. It will have some political stuff in it because there really isn't any avoiding politics right now in cryptocurrency, because it is going to determine how we do everything from liquidate to run farms and everything, right? It's the fact of the matter. These regulations impact us as miners, both from an infrastructure standpoint and in an economic standpoint. So it's the way it's going to be. The clips got moved back to the main channel, Trading Nickels. So the clips are back over here, and the clips channel, like I said, it's called Blind Run right now. So it's more of a vlog thing. But it is where I'm posting, like I said, more of the controversial political topics, and just ideas and fun stuff. So that's kind of the deal over there. I think it's maybe 1,400 hours away from being monetized. So if you want to help over there, definitely help me out over there. Also, don't forget to check out sonofatech.locals.com, where I post more of my speculative mining moves. If you want to get an advantage on that, as well as we post a Calendly link once a week. If you want some one-on-one time, that is only available to members on Locals. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next Tuesday. It's good to see Techie Rod in here too. Hit the like. Let's get to 300 likes. I don't know. We'll see.